Hi everybody, it's Karen. I'm back on YouTube and decided I'm going to try and do something that has been requested for a long time. So a lot of you have been emailing me and asking me, I wish I lived where you are so I could take lessons from you. And I wish I lived where all of you live because I love teaching. But I'm going to go through my books and actually show you on the piano how to play all of the ideas and all the shortcuts that I have. So we're going to start with Christmas. Probably the most questions that I get asked is about how do you play with no music. Unfortunately, I wasn't born with the gift of playing by ear, so I had to learn it. And over a lot of years, I've talked to a lot of people who play by ear and tried to pick their brains and figure out what they're doing while they're playing with no music. So I've developed this really quick little method of playing songs by ear quickly and easily. So what I'm going to do in this video is teach you how to play Christmas songs, because obviously we've all sung Christmas songs for most of our lives and we know all of the tunes. So I think those are the easiest songs to learn to play by ear. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you in about 10 minutes how you can play almost all of the Christmas songs with 3 or 4 chords and do it very quickly. Okay, you can't see me now, so we're just going to think of you sitting at the piano and I'm talking to you from the side. So you can notice that the keyboard, and some of you already know this, they're divided into sets of 2, the black keys. 2 black keys, 3 black keys, and so forth, all the way up and down the keyboard. If you find any group of 2 black keys, the note to the left of any group of 2 black keys is C. There's C and so forth. So if you find C, C in the music alphabet is like A is in our regular alphabet. It's kind of the place where you always start. So if this is C, D, E, F, G, no H, A, B, and then you're back to C. So when people look at an 88 note keyboard, you really don't have to learn 88 notes. You really only need to learn the basic 1 through 7, and then you have the black keys also. So that means there's 12 tones in music. From one tone directly to the next tone is called a half a tone, and we joke in our class about 2 half a tones make a whole a tone. So half a tone from one note to the next is a half step, half step, half step. There's no black key between an E and an F, so that's also a half step. If you have a note in between, 2 half steps make 1 whole step. Whole step. To get a whole step from E, you skip that note and play the black note above it. See, there's 1 note still up. Half step, whole step, whole step, half step. So understanding now that half steps are kind of the basis for how I'm going to teach you to find chords very quickly. And later on in the series, as we move into this each week, I'm going to talk to you about turning the chords around to make them easier to play. But for today, we're just going to use this number right here. And I want you to put it in your head and remember it. It's the number 43. 4 half steps and 3 half steps. 4 half steps and 3 half steps. So whatever note you start on is number 1. If I want to play a C chord, I put my little finger on C and I count up, and I don't count the C. And I count up 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps, and from that one I count up 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That is a C chord. Now if you've had piano lessons before, this would be called a triad. Tri meaning 3. If you want to play a G chord, find G, start with C and go C, D, E, F, G. Put your little finger on G. Count up 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's a G chord. Now you can see that it's every other white note. Alright, an F chord. Find C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. and you'll find that that's every other white note. So in the key of C, or the key that we're going to learn to play by ear, in, you have 3 chords. C chord, F chord, and G chord. Now, in music theory class, they'll teach you that in a scale, that is chord number 1, which is C, 1, 2, 3, chord number 4, which is F, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is chord number G. Okay? So you have C chord, and if you lock your hand and move it up 4, that's F, and if you move it up 1 more, that's G. Alright, so let's practice. C chord, lock your hand, move it up 4, that's F, and move it up 1, that's G. Okay? So, first things first, that's what you're going to do at the keyboard. When you're not at the keyboard, you're going to learn this. This is how you spell the chords. To be a good play-by-ear musician, you need to know the structure of the chords and the notes that are in the chords. So a C chord is C, E, G. A G chord is G, B, D. An F chord is F, A, C. Now, here's kind of a cool thing. If you notice this, every white note, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, is on this paper. Okay? So if you start with an A, there's the A, the F chord has an A, there's B, the G chord has a B, the C is in 2 chords, F or C, the D is in a G chord, the E is in a C chord, the F is in an F chord, and the G is in 2 chords, G and C. Now, your assignment this week is this. I want you first to know how to spell these chords. If I ask you what chord has a G in it, you're going to tell me it will be a C or a G chord. If I ask you what chord has an A note in it, you'll be able by next week to tell me that an F chord has an A in it. So A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. All right, knowing that now, I also want you to learn 43. The 3 chords that have that you're spelling. C chord, F chord, and G chord. All right? Now, after you've practiced that all week, now I'm going to show you how to apply it to some Christmas songs. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to play some easy Christmas songs by ear. Play Music with No Music and How to Play by Ear is my little easy, skinny little book that a lot of my students requested because they want to just sit down and play music without having to dig through their books all the time. It's not very thick, and because there's not a lot to it. Most of it is just practice. So when I wrote this book, I wrote it using all of the little tricks that I've learned over the years and how I taught myself to play with no music. I'm not the best at it, but I have a lot of fun when I can just sit down and play songs that come to my head, and sometimes it takes a little longer than others to pick them out. But what I want to do now is talk about the Christmas, because that's the easiest time of the year to learn to play by ear. So what you need first is a Christmas book. Now, we're not going to use the book probably, but or you can just sit down and make a list of all your favorite Christmas songs. But sometimes when I'm playing by ear, I want to play, but my brain has a moment of not remembering any titles. So the best thing, the hint that I can give you is to just open a Christmas book to the table of contents. Table of contents has, now like this one has about all the Christmas songs in it. This is a really great book. It's called The Big Note Piano Best Christmas Music by Hal Leonard. And there's a lot of big note, easy play books that you can get, but it's going to be a lot more fun for you if you find that you don't need the book at all. And later on in our series, you'll be able to look at these songs, and even if you don't know how they go, you can look at the melody and you'll know what chords to play and what chords go with what notes. So we'll get a little more advanced as we go. All right, so let's say I'm looking at this book and I want to play the song Jingle Bells. So I'm going to put the book away now, and I'm going to give you some very quick, easy rules on how to play by ear. And if you're taking notes, this is very, very simple. If you choose to play by ear, here are the rules. You can play any song by ear, but if you weren't born with a natural talent, you can use the basic formula to work out any song. Remember, you have to work as hard as you did when you learned to read notes. Take it slow and learn one song at a time. The recipe is this short for playing by ear. That's all you need. First, you're going to play a C chord with your left hand on the lower keyboard. All right? So the very first thing you're going to do, always, you're never going to try and find the melody first. Always play a C chord. You want to take control and tell the instrument, I want to play in the key of C. And if you remember, that's the Spanish key. Get it? Haha. The key of, never mind. So the key of C has 3 chords in it. C chord, F chord, and G chord. Now, another hint that you're going to find is that C chord, there's usually a pattern to how these chords work. So C chord would be like the center chord. One to the right is an F chord, one back is C, and one to the left is G. And next week we'll talk about the circle, and I have a DVD on how to use the circle, but the pattern usually works like this. C chord, F chord, C chord, G chord. In other words, every other chord in basic ear playing is the C. C is called the dominant, the tonic. G is called the dominant, and F is called the subdominant or under the dominant. Okay, so step number 1, play a C chord with your left hand. And I have lower keyboard, which was for the organ, but it'll be just down below middle C. The first note of the melody will be G, C, or E. Now you notice that that's the notes that are in the C chord, but it's backwards. Most of the time, the first note of the song will be the top note of the chord. The next choice will be the middle note, and your last choice is usually the name of the chord. So keep that in mind when you're starting. So I'm going to play the chord first, and it says after you find the first note. Now we have to find that first note. So Jingle Bells. I'm going to think of first the melody in my head. How does Jingle Bells go? Now I can't sing, so I'll try for you. But Jingle Bells, if I sing it, it's jingle bells, jingle bells. Now all those notes I can hear in my head are the same. Jingle up all the way. So if I was directing or just showing which way the notes go, I would go jingle bells, jingle all the way. So when I find my first note, that's how I'm going to think in my head. Which way are the notes going and how far? Those are called intervals. So that's an interval of a second or a next to. C to E is a skip one. Jingle. Okay, that's a third. 1, 2, 3. One note up, 2 notes down. C to F is a fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 notes up, 2 notes down. C to G is a fifth, 6th, 7, 8 octave. Okay? So I'm going to play the C chord. And here's my choices. My first note will either be this one, or this one. C, E, or G. The rule says we're going to start with G. So let's see if you think that's the first note. Now if you can't tell, try playing the next few notes. Doesn't work, does it? All right, G is out. Let's try E. Ah, that one's sounding better. Okay, let's try C just for fun. Doesn't work. So now I know that E is my first note in the melody. It says, number 3, after you find the first note, spend time picking out the melody. So now I'm going to just forget about my left hand, and it might take me even up to a few days to get my hands to figure out Jingle Bells. So I'm going to start on E, and I'm going to think of the notes in my head. And sometimes if you know the words, say the words. Oh, that note is wrong. So most people that I've taught to play by ear, when they hit the note wrong, they just go, oh my gosh, I have to start over. Well, don't start over, just fix it. That's called an embellishment. Now, when you get to be a good ear player, you'll notice that sometimes when you hit the wrong note, it sounds kind of cool because you fixed it and it turns into something fancier than just playing a plain old melody. So just relax in it and know that if you hit a note wrong, here's my advice. You are never more than one note away from the right note. So when I did that, I knew I was too high. So if I come down one, it usually will fix it. Now, here's another cool hint. Most songs follow patterns. So if you listen to Jingle Bells, you have usually 8 bars of a theme. Now, that theme is usually repeated. Same chords, same melody. With a little different tag on the end. Okay? So think about that. When you see a big piece of sheet music, normally there's a lot of repetition in a song, and you really don't need to learn all of the measures. They usually repeat. Okay, now we're going to learn how to put the chord with the melody. All right? It says, go back to the beginning with the C chord and play the melody. When the C chord sounds crummy, change to G or F. If you need to, look at the melody note and determine which chord has that note in it. All right? Now, here's what I suggest to you. Play the chord, but your hands are going to run together on a piano if you start the melody right here because you're moving up with the chord. So my suggestion to you when you're starting is to move your right hand up an octave and use that as your practice area. Until I teach you how to invert the chords and keep out of the way of the melody, that's going to be the easiest solution for you. All right, so we're going to play the C chord, and I know the first note is E. Now, most people who are learning to play by ear tend to think they have to change chords a lot. My suggestion to you is hold on to that chord until you can't stand it anymore. So listen, I'm going to play, and I'm just going to keep repeating the C chord because on a piano it has a tendency to die away. On an organ you can sustain it. Still sounds good. Now it doesn't sound good. So if you look, my finger is on an F note. Now, which one of these chords has an F in it? The F chord. So that chord is going to be F. Now I'm going to hold it. Now it doesn't sound good anymore. I'm back to that E. Which chord has E in it? The C chord. And now I'm on a D, G chord. Back to C. Now the chord repeats itself again. Just like the first time. F chord, C chord, G, if you notice what I told you at the beginning, now once I learned how this worked, I don't have to think about it anymore. C chord, went to F chord, went to C chord, went to G chord. C chord, F chord, C chord, G chord. That's all there is in that song. And once you get in that pattern, C, F, C, G, 1, 4, 1, 5, that's the chord numbers. Almost all the easy Christmas songs follow that pattern. Now, there's other chords, obviously, that can be in this song, which we'll talk about later. But for now, it's the most thrilling thing when you get to be an ear player for the first time. When you literally can close up all your books and play. So, this week I would like you to try maybe just 2 songs. Silent Night and Jingle Bells. So let's try Silent Night. First thing, play the chord. First note is either going to be what? G, E, or C. Listen. Well, I already know that's the right one. It sounds perfect, okay? So now I'm going to take my hand off, the left hand off, and I'm going to play the melody. Now this one has some bigger jumps in it than Jingle Bells has. So now I might miss some notes, but listen to what happens when I miss them and fix them. Repeats. Now I got a big jump. I made it. Then now it repeats itself again. Missed it. Now, I know I messed up, but it's okay because when I'm playing, and sometimes some of my students joke, they say, well, sometimes it sounds better when you mess up and fix it than when you did it right the first time. So don't panic and don't start over. Just keep going. All right, so now we're going to play the C chord. All right, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start an octave higher on the G. It's a D in my melody. Which chord has the D in it? The G chord. Where does the G chord usually go? Back to C. I'm going to an A note. Now it's an F chord. F goes back to C. It repeats again. F chord. Back to C. G chord. Back to C. C and I picked an F chord, but it was wrong. One thing cool about when you're playing hymns at Christmas, if you hit the wrong chord, you get an amen at the end. This concludes this week's lesson. If you do what I asked you and you follow these rules, I'd like you to try to play these 2 songs this week, and we'll continue next week. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Over the next 6 or 7 weeks, we're going to record 1 lesson each week, and hopefully by Christmas, you'll be able to sit down with your family and friends and play some of your favorite Christmas carols, even the more advanced ones. So I know for some of you, this is very basic today, but for others, it's going to be just life-changing when it comes to playing your music. I would have given anything years ago to know what I know now. So enjoy the assignment, and if you'd like, you can go to our website, sacramentomusicgroup.com, or Music in Newcastle, and there's no spaces in between the words. And you can find our catalog, and we're going to be using the circle a lot. I have a really great 4-layer circle that we use, and we'll start with the basics. And so you really have to understand the circle to know how the chords work with each other. And I do it very easily. It can get kind of complicated, but we're not going to go there. And maybe down the road we'll do more advanced classes on that. So again, your assignment, I need you to learn how to spell these 3 chords, C, F, and G, and learn how to play them with the number 43, 4 half steps and 3 half steps. My play-by-ear music book is on the website. If you'd like to have it all in print, I'm going to try and do all of these lessons without PDFs to keep it simple and just very straightforward. That's been kind of my forte, and I intend to continue to do that. So have a great week and have some fun. Put your music books away and see what you can do without them.